In this video, I'm going to give you everything you need to do to prepare to qual in the Placement Cup, and in later tournaments like the Divisional Cups and all that. But the Placement Cup is in a few days, and so that's not a lot of time to prepare. Timestamps are down below. We're going to be going over all kinds of stuff, starting with something simple. How do you find a teammate? I've listed a ton of Scrim servers down below. Type the name of the Scrim server on Google and you should be able to find it. I also have my own Discord down in the description too, where we host tourneys. In all of these servers, there are places where you can look for teammates. That's the best place to find a solid duo. Make sure you're just looking for somebody that you vibe with. Don't look for somebody that's way better than you. Look for someone around your skill level that you get along with and aren't gonna hate playing the game with, you know what I mean? Once you have a teammate and you're ready to go in the season, one of the first things you should be trying to figure out is your drop spot and map knowledge. I'm gonna walk you through exactly how to get really confident off spawn fast. Step number one is finding a spot. Hop into duo arena or solo arena and just land at a bunch of different spots that you think could work. There's a lot of spots that you can make work as a duo drop spot, so keep exploring until you find one that feels right. It really doesn't have to be that deep. You don't need to pick the best spot in the game that's gonna give you everything you need, max splashes, max metal. You don't need something crazy like that. If you go to a spot like that, you're gonna run into pros left and right. Sometimes it's better to just settle. Once you have your spot chosen, step two is to learn loot routes, which basically means just how do you loot it the fastest. If you're uncontested, you wanna get in and out of there as quick as you can. So talk with your teammates, split up the drop spot between you and him so you each know what you're supposed to be looting. And then practice it till you can do it as fast as possible and get everything you need. Step three is learn where you're gonna get metal around you, because metal is very limited this season. Keep experimenting with hitting different objects in the game. I've been finding a lot of stuff that gives metal that you wouldn't really think would give a lot of metal. Step number four is learning where you might get pushed off spawn. Like if there's a POI around you or a small outskirt spot, they might push into your location really quickly, so maybe you need to watch that direction while you're looting. You gotta learn your entire area and how people move around your area. This can be kind of complicated, but if you can master the way everybody rotates out of their locations, then you're gonna know what to do every single game and where to look out from. Step five, one of the most important parts for an IGL, is build plans on how you're going to rotate when there's different types of zones. For example, if the zone pulls all the way north and you're on the west side of the map, what route are you going to take? You may be building routes so that you can get surge, like you're gonna rotate over a mountain. When you're on the mountain, you pause and you look around you for other people rotating and take shots. That way you can get your surge up. Or maybe you fought off spawn, you already have good surge and you wanna rotate really quickly and invisibly to the zone. Try to learn how you can rotate out of every single spot and memorize loot paths. That way you're not like questioning where to go every single game. Go to the map Fortnite.gg and try to build some game plans. You can literally sketch routes with this tool here. And what I'm doing is I'm sketching routes for every possible zone from our location and then taking screenshots of it. That way we have a set plan for every situation. And now listen, you may not build perfect plans because it's so early in the season and we're still learning how people move around the map and stuff like that, but at least you'll have a starting plan that you can adjust throughout the season. And then along similar lines, the last thing is learning how fast you actually need to leave your location to get to like a max pull zone, or how long you can stay in your drop spot before you're gonna get pushed by a neighbor. It's stuff like this. Ken and I were in a call last night just building all kinds of plans for off spawn. And then obviously you need to practice fighting off spawn too. That one's a given, you know, learning alpha spots in the location, best places to land to get elevation on your opponents, all sorts of stuff like that. Once you have all that stuff down, you are completely mastered at a drop spot. And then step three kind of stems off step two, learning landforms and surge spots for the mid game. You need to have some places in mind for the tourneys that you can rotate to get storm surge. Stuff like knowing where the elevation is, knowing how the landforms work is super important, especially early in the season, because if you don't know how the landforms work, you might accidentally position yourself where you have no looks on anybody and then die to surge, and then that's one of your games gone, and that could cost you qual. If you're really dying to surge a lot and you're a good fighter, you could also just push a neighboring location and fight off spawn for your storm surge. But yeah, you can hop onto Fortnite.gg and try to pick out different locations that you think will have good surge, just so you have a game plan. I'm not even fully sure that we're going to need surge that much this season. We probably will, but the only reason I say that is because there's a lot less loot on the map, which means a lot of people are gonna get antsy and just take fights. They're gonna see that they don't have metal, they don't have a lot of brick, they don't have very good guns, and they're going to be like, okay, we need to fight someone to get our loot up to win. A lot of teams may do that, which may lead to us having no surge, but it's good to have a plan built. Step 4 is an easy one. Just figure out what loadouts you're going to be using as a duo. Are you going to be rocking 2 hammers, 1 hammer? Is someone going to be carrying the Excalibur? Figure out that stuff so you don't have to think about it much. Ken and I are still trying to figure out whether 1 hammer or 2 hammer is the best. Like if you use 1 hammer, you can hit your teammate and send him on the rotate, and then rotate yourself with the hammer after. The only problem is the person that gets hit isn't going to fly through builds. So if you rotate in this way, you have to stay elevated so you're not getting stuck in other players' builds when you do the rotate. It's 100% doable with 1 hammer though. Also, from playing scrims, Ken and I learned that scoped AR is actually like the best thing for a surge lobby. Step number 5 is learning to fight with the new meta and the new guns and getting super comfortable with it. The best way to do that is usually going to be in creative mode. The only issue is we don't have that much time until the placement cup. So if you're not confident with the map yet, you may want to spend more time in arena. But once you get comfortable with the map and your drop spot, you may want to start spending your time in 1v1s, 2v2s, zone wars, and like creative modes that have the new guns. That way you can get the fastest practice with those new weapons. And step number 6 to bring it all together is to run some scrims. Make sure you're trying out all the new stuff in the game. Make sure you're practicing your drop map, practicing your loot routes. Get all the stuff from earlier in the video figured out for the scrims. That way you can test it in the scrims and see if it actually works, and if it doesn't, you're going to need to tweak it before the actual tournament. For example, practice different strategies with rotating with the hammer. Test out different guns, see which ones are going to be the best for endgame or which ones you need to use for surge. And then the hammer rotates are going to take a lot of getting used to, especially in duos, trying to stick together on those hammer rotates. Ken and I played Vital for like 2.5 hours, and we did not have like any good games because we kept getting split with the hammer rotates and we were trying to figure out surge from our drop spot. It is going to be tough, so make sure you're figuring out everything in this video as soon as you can. That's all the advice I have for getting ready for the placement cup. All this stuff can be applied to the divisional cups that start in January. If you can really get this stuff down for contenders, it'll help you a lot. Challengers last season was pretty much a key fest, and you didn't have to worry about surge as much as contenders and elite because people needed to key to get that top 20 or top 10, whatever it was for your region. It'll probably be the same thing this season. So the main thing for the Challenger Cups is make sure you're getting confident in endgame and confident in mid-game fights. You'll have a good amount of opportunities to get to elite before FNCS this season. If you didn't see already, FNCS is going to be only for elite players. So keep tweaking your plans all throughout the season until you can finally make it to elite. If you don't get to elite, just make sure you're learning stuff in the process. And lastly, when it comes to the solo tournaments, apparently in my last video I said it wrong. Apparently the open rounds are going to be a normal solo cash cup with normal scoring. But then in the finals, maybe it's like if you get a win, you make money. If you don't get a win, you don't make money. I'm not totally sure how that's going to work yet, but figure out loot routes and everything I said in this video for solos as well. You may want to get different spots for solos than you have for duos. Up to you. But anyways, guys, I hope this video helped you out. More stuff is coming soon, including fighting tutorials, building, everything. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.